At this time, I'd like to remind you that I am not your financial advisor, and this is not financial advice. My YouTube channel is for entertainment purposes only and to document my journey in the crypto space. I encourage you to pause the video at this time to read the full disclaimer. And now let's get on with the show. Okay guys, welcome back to the crypto wave. Want to do some videos. I've been really into this Frag website. Uses Tron. If you haven't gone to it yet, I'll put a link in the description below. Make sure that you have a Tron Link wallet over here. Everything interacts with it. I did a hype video on this recently. It's kind of funny because I was actually in this and forgot about it because there was some airdrops, as you can see. And so I had some Frag that was just sitting there for, geez, I don't know, months, and I just had forgotten about it. And then along comes Tewkenaire. Tewkenaire says, hey, we're going to partner up with Frag. And, so I came back to Frag and said, hey, that sounds really familiar. Went back to Frag, saw all the Frag I had, and it was actually worth a significant, well, to me, a significant amount. So I joined back into the group and watching it, and the more I'm getting involved with this again, now that my attention is put back towards it, the more I'm really, really liking it. So real quick, this is the Frag website. We're going to go to the DEX. This is decentralized exchange. And what this is where you buy and sell your Frag. So currently, let's see, current price is about 5, so it's 5 Tron per 1 Frag. Sell price is always just slightly below it. It's your typical buy-in, taxes in, taxes out kind of scenario. But what I want to talk about is this Frag Power. So when I first got in, I was using Frag Box. I dabbled in the bonds, the dice. The Frag Power is what we're going to talk about today. And really, when I first was reading it, it's very I don't want to say complex, but it took a minute for me to kind of realize exactly what was happening. So the purpose of the Frag or the Frag Power is that it's going to exponentially kind of increase. So that increase occurs whether people are buying, selling, or doing anything with it. And it increases at a rate of 0.03 a day. So no matter what, if you are buying or selling or doing anything else, or freezing or unfreezing, it's always going to go up. Always, always, always going to go up. So that means that if you just buy some power now and you do nothing but just keep freezing and that type of thing, it's eventually going to gain price, basically. The interesting, and where it starts getting a little bit more chess-like and a little bit more you need to start maneuvering, is the actual constriction and expansion of the power. So again, as I was reading into this, it takes a bit of time to kind of get the point of it, but here in essence is what's going to happen. If you purchase Frag, if you purchase power and you are holding it and it is not frozen, so when you're on the Frag Power here, this is what I currently have. So this is my balance that is currently unfrozen. This is my currently frozen. This timer here, 61 hours, this is how long I have until this becomes unfrozen. Difference between frozen and unfrozen. If it is frozen, the constriction and expansion that occurs does not affect you. So in reality, you can't sell it, but you can buy more, but you can't sell any of this. And this is unaffected by any of the constriction and selling. So what is the purpose of the constriction and selling? So what ends up happening is if you are buying it, so this is what we call the target price. This is the blue line. This is that exponential increase that we're talking about. If people buy a significant amount of power and that decentralized price or that power price goes above the target price. So if you go back over here, so currently the target price is 2.89 frags per power. The current price is 2.98. So the current price is above the target price. So what happens is when the current price is above the target price, so it's here, the power expands or increases by 1%. 1% an hour. Let me clarify, because this is where it really gets significant. So there's a timer here, and so every hour this resets. And what it does is when this timer runs out, it looks to see, okay, what is the target price and what is the current price? If the current price is above the target price, the overall power supply increases by 1%. In essence, it means that your balance will go up 1% in power. Now, conversely, if people start selling their power, because as you can imagine, the higher this goes, you start gaining 1% an hour. That's 24% a day of power that you can obtain if it stays up above the target price for 24 hours. It all depends on how long it stays up. So let's say that somebody has, right now we're above target price. I'm gaining 1% an hour. And in reality, I started this at 132.2 power. I'm now at 164.6. It's actually going to go up in 7 minutes because we're above the target price by 1%. So if somebody has a huge amount of power that's currently frozen, and let's say in the next 5 hours, it's going to thaw out, meaning they're now able to sell it, and now the price is so high, it's up at 3 frag, and let's say they bought it when it was 2.1. Well, they're of course going to sell some of their power that is thawed out, and what does that do? It's going to drive down the current price, so now it's below the target price. So if they sell off what they've had frozen, and it goes below the target price, and I haven't frozen yet, well, I'm going to start losing 1% an hour simply because it's below the target price, and it's going to start constricting, basically trying to bring itself back up again. So really the key for this is, and this is where it gets really, really tricky, because I'm sure there's some people that have huge amounts. I mean, right now there is a total supply of 929,000 power. 388,000 of that is frozen. We don't know when this is going to become unfrozen. So right now there's probably people that are holding a significant amount of power that is currently unfrozen, meaning it's in their balance, and as long as this is going up, I mean, if you imagine you have 20,000 power, you are gaining 1% of power per hour that it's above that target price. Anytime somebody buys power, it keeps driving this up. So the longer you are unfrozen and the longer this is above the target price, the more gains you make. If, for instance, you see it drop below, you have an hour. So let's say this is up for, well, let's see, I've been up for quite a while. So 1, 2, I mean, I don't know how many hours this is, but we'll say it's been 24 hours. If I have a feeling that it's going to, for instance, if this hits, or if this closes out, I get my 1%, and then we see this current price drop below the target price, we know, unless somebody buys a huge amount, I would wait the next hour to see if it goes back up above again. If it goes back above again, then the timer runs out, I get my 1%. If it's about to hit, the current price is still below the target price and the time runs out, I'm going to lose 1%. I might as well freeze at that point, because who knows if it's going to come back up again. The tricky part is you get frozen. Anytime you freeze, it's between 7 and 14 days. Additionally, it takes 2% fee to freeze. So there's ways of getting around this, in my opinion. And what I'm actually going to do, which you probably saw in my spreadsheet, is I actually have, I created a couple other wallets for me that are currently, I sent a little bit of power to each one and froze it. And then I wrote down their times when they're going to unfreeze. So I kind of have an idea. So currently my main wallet has a 61-hour freeze time on it. So in reality, if I freeze right now, this is all going to go to this frozen balance. But if from some odd reason I want to, at least I have, I have one in 110 hours that I can move, I can transfer this frag over to this wallet. And then I know in 110 hours, if I'll have something coming unfrozen in case it decides to go back above the target price or not. Now, it gets tricky because, I mean, I'm sure there's probably some big whales out there that are kind of manipulating this and such. But if you're playing your hand right, this can be a juggernaut. If again, I've been in for about 24 hours with just my small amount. I started at 132. I'm actually at 164 power now. The good thing about this also is you have to imagine this power is bought in frag. This frag is then sold in Tron. So in reality, if I were to sell my 164, it's almost over here, sell, it's 2.98. Now, so let's figure this out real quick here. So if I sold 164 power and it's selling at 2.98, so that would give me 488 frag. Frag is going for just under 5. We're just going to call it 5. So that's actually 2,400 Tron, actually. So don't let this small number fool you. Now, I'm dealing with pennies. I obviously don't have huge bankroll. Anybody who follows my channel knows that. But it's a significant amount. And to be honest with you, I'm probably not going to sell it. The trickiest part, this is the trickiest one on this site, I'll be honest with you, because you really have to watch this hour by hour. Because if you go to bed and this hour ends and it drops below the target price and you're sleeping for 8 hours, well, you're going to lose 8%, basically 1 hour or 1% per hour, you're going to be losing in that power that you just gained. So it's almost like a game of chess. It takes some vigilance. It takes some, you really got to pay attention to it. Definitely pay attention to the chat. There's some people in there that talk a lot about power, and you have to kind of assume that they're watching things. And if I watch big whales go in and get out of power and are suggesting it, I'm kind of following their lead, to be honest with you. And that's kind of what I did on this one. I was watching the chat. There's a couple players in there that are talking a lot and kind of explaining a lot of what happens with the frag power. And look, that just went up. That's good news. It just went up above 3 while we were sitting here. It was 2.9. So right before this timer ran out, somebody just bought some in order to keep it above. So I'm actually going to get, in 2 minutes, this is going to go up another 1%. And it looks like we're probably going to be good for 1 more hour, which is good. So anyways, I follow along in the chat, and that's kind of what I did. Now, unfortunately, I learned about this after I'd already frozen this. My initial thought was I'm going to buy some power and freeze it, and then I maintain that price. But in reality, that's a good strategy because you are going to get that 0.03% each day increase, but you still need to be vigilant on refreezing your power to maintain your gains. But in reality, now that I'm learning more about it, the goal is to let it thaw and hopefully, and try and manipulate it, for lack of a better word, to be above that target price, to gain more and more power. I mean, in essence, you're getting more frags for free, and the more frags you get, the more TRX you get, depending if you want to sell it or whatever you want to do with it. So that is kind of frag. I know it sounds a little confusing. Go ahead and listen to the video again, because it took me a while to really get my grasp on how this plays out. But if you haven't gotten the frag power yet, I highly suggest you go into the chat, go onto the site, play around with it, talk to the people in the group. Everybody in the frag group is really good about talking about all the different games on here. There's some that are very particular for frag power. There's some that are really good with the bonds, some that are really loving the FOMO game. Really friendly community. I highly suggest you get in there and talk with them. In the meantime, I'll keep you up to date. I'm gonna let this keep compounding, and when I finally freeze it, I'll do another video so you guys can see. Or when this happens to unfreeze, if we're still above, I'll show you what kind of gains I'm getting. I'll let this play out for another 35 seconds just so you can see it go up. So 1.64.6. We are currently above the current price. Our current price is currently above the target price, so you should actually see this jump up by 1%. So given it's going to go up by maybe almost 3, give or take, a little under 3. Let's see it play out though, and that way you can kind of see. You're literally getting frag for free just by watching this time and kind of playing along with it. So, all right, give 1 second. It's pending. So I don't know if you noticed also, so I just went up to 166.3. So I'm now at 166.3. I don't know if you noticed also, but the target price did diminish. It did modify itself, trying to get down to the current price. That's what it's trying to do. That's where this graph comes in. It's constricting and expanding, trying to maintain this steady algorithm of going up. So I don't know if you caught it, but this changed. Oh, look at that. Somebody just sold. So this is actually really good that I'm recording. So now look, current price 2.7. So somebody, when that hour hit, has enough power that they want to take some profits. So they took off their profits and sold their power, dropping the current price to 2.7. So now the target price is below 2.8. So if this were to maintain for the next hour, if this does not go back above 3, then I'm going to start losing 1% of this 163. So this is kind of cool for you guys to see. Now, in the next hour, if this happens to go back up above the target price, then I'm going to get that 1%. So me personally, I'm willing to take, I've gone up probably a good 8%, so I'm willing to take 1 hour, 1% loss to kind of see what this does. I'll keep an eye on it. So I'm not going to freeze or anything at this point. Anyways, I hope you guys liked the video. I'll post it in the Frag chat, but I'm going to post it elsewhere too. If you haven't already, I'd love a like and a subscribe. Any comments below. I'll try and start doing some more videos on each individual one of these, just to kind of show you what they're all about. Yeah, that's about all I got. So thanks for tuning in. Everybody have a good one.